Ooh, Eric. Recruiting world sure is interesting. The highs and the lows, the roller coasters the fans get on. You were just telling me before we got on, you did a lot of warnings that everyone needs to relax and breathe a little bit. Well, Texas just flipped number one defensive tackle James Johnson from Georgia. This will be our 9th video of the day. It's been a busy day with SEC Media Days, but that's 2 huge commits in one day. So let's talk James Johnson, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we should talk Texas first.
Sure.
Last week I wrote if Warren Buffett was buying recruiting stocks, he would have bought Texas. After they missed on Braden Rouse, everybody's down in the dumps. Everybody's selling Texas. That's when it's time to buy. I wrote, don't get too high, don't get too low. Things can change in a heartbeat. I knew that Atkinson was coming. I did not know that James Johnson was coming. Though I had a good idea that they were going to stay on him. Obviously, I didn't expect this flip. To be honest with you, I did expect Atkinson. You know what? I'll tell you what, Justin Wales, go ahead and get a little too high today. And I mean that euphoric sense and not in the Tahoe sense. Hey, speaking of Tahoe, every time I'm in Tahoe, my readers know to buckle up because there's going to be some wild, it's going to be some wild twists and turns. But this is one of the few times where I'll grab the wife and I'll say, hey, let's go out and have a little bit of fun tonight because, you feel like, we're probably making a little bit of money today. Everybody's excited again. It's good. It's in a hurry, man.
Well, you hear Kirby Smart earlier during his SEC Media Days. He's like, what do you think about the Texas program? Really great team. Meanwhile, Sark's got Atkinson and Johnson.
And, what stood out to me, and it was probably about a half hour before I got a text that told me that this was going to go down, was he said, we're not worried about transactional relationships. We're all about real relationships and all those things. And I'm like, come on, man. I know how you got James Johnson. Give me a break. And then 15 minutes later, I'm getting a text saying, you might want to get your story ready. Sometimes I'm a fan again when stuff like this happens. I hate getting caught by surprise in some regards because it's not really my job to be caught by surprise. But it's fun because it's, you feel that dopamine hit that the recruitniks are always seeking.
Yeah, before we got jaded working in the industry, you feel you can go back to your fan state. Oh, that was cool. All right, well let's watch a little bit of his tape. I think this is from about 8 months ago, but we'll pull it up. And frankly, this will be the first time I'm seeing it, but I'm excited. Number 1 rivals rating defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So I don't watch a lot of. I have watched his tape. It's kind of a theme on IT where I'm not going to watch the tape until it gets real. I watched his tape towards the end of his recruitment because Texas was definitely making up some ground. Very athletic guy in every direction. That change of direction right there, you see a lot of guys would have ran upfield and missed that tackle. Plays with good shock power. That's an easy play. That might want to block him.
Yeah.
This is 4 D tackles, 4 out-of-state D tackles. Like the edge room went from no man's land to a team strength. D tackle is doing that through the portal, through a great high school class last year, through Alex January, and now this class. So now D tackle is set for the foreseeable future. We do anticipate them being done at the position. I mean, they'll still recruit guys because, hey, man, everybody's going to be trying to flip their D tackles. You got to stay on the ball. But right now the number's going to stick at 4. James Johnson and Tyler Atkinson in the same day. I need to get off this. I need to get off this live and go to the Georgia board.
Georgia board is going to not be good because their Atkinson board was not happy, so this is going to be brutal. Like I said, they were at SEC Media Days together, so Sark's just been kind of plotting. Was a little serious at SEC Media Days. You'll see those interviews. They would have came out right now, but we have to do this, so you'll be looking for Sark's interviews coming out as well. And so he's right here. He's listed at 6'2.5", 285 pounds. He's out of Miami, Florida. But good twitch here. What are you seeing? Are you seeing 3 tech?
Well, they mix and they play sometimes they play the penetrator at nose tackle. Vernon Broughton was kind of the penetrator last year, and he played nose tackle quite a bit. But he's the penetrator versus the guy that's going to be the space eater. You pair this guy next to Dylan Berryman. That you can do a lot of things with him. You could probably play him at defensive end in that base look. But I see a lot of Murad Watson here from my newfound familiarity with the Syracuse transfer, who, if anybody noticed and paid attention today, Sark mentioned Murad Watson very early when he listed off pretty much the entire roster.
Yeah, it was one of the first players he named.
Yeah, pretty interesting, right? This is your penetrator. If you're looking for like an NFL comp, you're thinking like Warren Sapp or something like that.
Yeah.
Put him next to Berryman, let Berryman eat blocks, do the dirty work, and then let this guy go wreak havoc.
Yeah. And then Kenny Baker, man.
Yeah,
Stocking the covers there with 4 DTs early, as well as a portal class. He's not playing around. This is not the Bo Davis method of defensive tackle recruiting.
Another reminder to not let your fellow fans make these hasty narratives. You know, he came in, got off to a little bit of a slow start as he's figuring out his big board last cycle. The flip phone Kenny joke.
I know there's a lot of these funny ones, man.
He plays with a lot of power for the penetrating sort of guy too. But yeah, Kenny Baker's doing a great job. That room is entirely revamped and it is stocked for the foreseeable future. It went from this, you know, D tackle recruiting was my greatest concern. Going back to the 23 and 24 cycles, 25, they obviously did a good job. And then the portal, you know, it serves as a bridge between all these high school recruiting classes. But now this is kind of like the icing on the cake. That 4-man class is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
They all have a clear fit. They all have a certain sort of upside that has yet to be tapped yet. Like Corey Wells, you know, people aren't talking enough about him.
Yeah.
Just a really good class. You know, so you miss on Kendall Gravel. Maybe that was a good thing they missed on Kendall Gravel. A lot of these things happen for a reason. You know, they missed Braden Rouse. If they get Braden Rouse, I don't think they get Tyler Atkinson. So, you know, these things happen for a reason. That's a reminder. Don't get too low.
Yeah, and man, even I was starting to have my doubts, man. That was a rough little period there, but hold the faith, guy. And then also too, man, I think the staff was like, all right, we're not letting this slide either. You know, you go get Atkinson, you bring in Johnson. We were reported on Recruiting Intel that Charlie and Justin feel pretty good about Derek Cooper at running back. So it seems like Texas is really in swing right now. Before we keep going, we'll chat a little bit more with you guys, but we do need to hear a word from our sponsor.
Hi, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area, you need to contact Josh Holden. The Metroplex is massive, and the local real estate market is full of nuances and subtleties only an experienced agent like Josh can help you navigate. From Preston Hollow to Highland Park, Uptown to Old East Dallas, Josh will be there to guide you through the process of buying or selling your home. Now, Josh is a UT grad, a lifetime Texas Ex. He's reliable, savvy, and from a personal perspective, he's a really great guy to chat with. So why don't you give him a call and chat with him today about your real estate needs in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. His number is 972-917-8081. That's 972-917-8081. Or you can reach him at his website, which is joshholdenrealestate.com. All the contact details are in the description below. Thanks so much, and back to the show.
Thank you, Elsie. It is time to go back to the show. All right. So we know that right here it's listed he had a official on 6/20/25.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know anything? I know this jumped up and got us pretty quick. Do we know anything about the background? Is this more of an NIL thing? Is this a relation?
Yeah, of course. NIL is going to be an attention getter, of course. I mean,
yeah.
The number 20 D tackle in the country is going to be getting a good NIL package. If you're the number 1 D tackle, we talk about this all the time. Scarcity. These guys, scarcity drives the market. Yeah, of course, NIL factors. It'd be crazy to say it doesn't. But we felt that Texas had a shot after the official visit. Now you could tell by these guys. Tyler Atkinson. If anybody saw his video today, you could see that that's a well-adjusted young man. These are not straight mercenaries. Yes, they want to maximize their earning potential, but they do a really good job of weeding out the straight mercenaries. They backed off a couple guys this cycle. One edge in a high priority at a pipeline school that they backed off because they didn't like the way that was setting up. They felt he was too forward focused on cash. NIL is going to matter, but they try to find the guys that are going to be hungry to get the NFL bag, the second contract, more so than college NIL.
Is the Georgia competition sweeter to our staff after those losses? Because we have the 2 top players in Georgia. We have Atkinson, last year Justice Terry. Take the number 1 tackle. He's out of Miami. But still, is there something going on here? Is there off-field competition with Georgia, or it just happens to be like that because they have great players?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to beat Georgia, you better get those types of players. And then Georgia is probably the number 1 competition for Derek Cooper next week. I don't think Miami has a gas pedal to get that one done right now. Though after another round of fundraising this season, if Miami has a good year, maybe they'll be able to circle back to him. Yeah, you got to beat Georgia. You got to get those types of players, which Texas is doing right now. I think Texas has the best roster in college football. I think the number one strength of Steve Sarkisian since he was hired was his roster management, that and culture. And his evaluation plays a heavy part of that. He's able to weed through the guys that are truly hungry, are not going to get complacent after getting that, NILs. So this is real money. It's not real money if you look at it. Hey, I'm 18 years old and I got a long life to live. And I've got some family I might want to help out, but it's a lot of money in the immediate. You got to find the guys that aren't going to get complacent when they get that first paycheck.
Yeah. So Texas right now, I think this bumps us up to the 8th class. Diabell is ranked a 5-star already. Atkinson is not ranked or is. Yeah. Okay. So Atkinson 5-star, Wesley 5-star, and then James Johnson, for whatever reason, is still in that 4-star spot, but he's the number 1 DT. So this class has been turned really top heavy fast. And I really like the bottom. It's really the middle. Now Texas can just kind of get those 4 stars that they like, because you've got the top of the class. I like the bottom of the class too. Now it's just filling out that center. And I think people are going to be happy.
Like we've been talking about, it's either guys that can cut in line, or it's players that are going to wait their turn, and the guys that are going to wait their turn aren't going to cost as much. But I said earlier in the cycle, when they got Nick Robertson and Max Wright, celebrate those takes, because they allow you to go get the 5 stars. They're not going to cost as much. Parker Livingstone helps you get Ryan Wingo, yet at the same time, Parker Livingstone has significant upside. So when you can find those guys, celebrate them much more. The average recruitnik is only celebrating the 5 stars. The stargazers only care about the 5 stars, the high 4s. Celebrate those guys that help you get the 5 stars. They're doing a really good job of balancing this class between those guys that can cut in line and those that are willing to wait their turn, yet still have really good tape. I mean, Cohen Brown looks like freaking DeAndre Moore. And that's what I guess they're considering like a sort of a bargain these days. And that guy's really talented. Chris Stewart.
And if we're just looking purely at rivals, it would be 4 5 stars. Atkinson is in 5-star range. Wesley's in 5-star range. And James Johnson already is a 5-star. So the composite doesn't have him as a 5-star. But if you just look at rival rankings, by the time it's all said and done, it'll be 4 stars to head the class. And one of them being defensive tackle, who we just got, edge, Wesley, linebacker Tyler Atkinson, then Diabell, who just got named number 1 quarterback.
Let's get this one from my boy Williams David. I call him Williams David because that was his longtime username on there. So he's asking. I thought James Johnson would go to the wire. We were talking about him and maybe Jamie and Winfield as potential flips. I did not think they would pull this flip off this quickly. So caught flat-footed as far as timing. Had about 15-minute head notice, but. Trenton Henderson, I'm glad you brought him up, because the number I've heard on Trenton Henderson, to me, I think that the way they're recruiting right now seems doable to me. The bigger issue might be that his mother can drive from Pensacola to Baton Rouge in about 4 hours. That sets up to be an advantage for LSU. Florida doesn't feel like they're getting him. Obviously, they have a bit of a proximity advantage over Texas as well. So I think they have to overcome that. But if it did come down to money, just like Texas took LSU's lunch on Colin Simmons, I think they could potentially do that on Trenton Henderson. Yes, I am watching that. I don't want to raise expectations more than they should. I'm probably getting a little too high, but I did write earlier today on Inside Texas that Trenton Henderson, to me, is still on the board, even if he commits to LSU.
Yeah. And then somebody asked earlier, is it a coincidence that we have these announcements on SEC Media Days? I don't know about Atkinson, because you're on McAfee's show. You're kind of on his timeline. But if you want to get conspiratorial, Eric, go for it. But there's got to be some competitive gamesmanship here to do it on Media Days. But also, if he says, "Hey, I want to do it today," you aren't going to say no.
So without a doubt, they timed that on purpose. I wrote my Atkinson article last Wednesday night, like in the middle of the night. We were expecting it. We just didn't know when. The fact that it went on McAfee he's got a really good agent, David Mulligetta, who's able to line stuff like that up. On
Texas grad,
days,
right?
Yes, on Media Days. Now he's not biased towards Texas, but he is a Texas grad.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to his clients. I'm sure he wants Texas to win, but
it
has to be, because we had this one on watch for going back last Wednesday, RT had his Derek Johnson article written last Wednesday. I accidentally published it. I said, no, don't publish it. That's for when he commits.
Yeah.
So we were expecting it. The timing had to be intentional. I think the timing on this one was probably intentional too. Props to them for keeping that quiet until the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was cool. Can you all explain how the 5-star thing works? Some sites have a guy as a 5-star, others won't. Do they have to be a consensus 5-star for it to count? All right, so there's different services. On3 and Rivals did their merger, so there's no more On3 involved in these rankings. So the 3 services right now, Rivals, 247, ESPN. If they'll take a blend of the 3 major services, that'll be a composite ranking, and then but everyone ranks individually as well. So
yeah,
it really.
It's everybody's got difference of opinions, and there's times I'm just going to tell you, hey, a guy's a 5-star, even if he's not ranked that way. Lance Jackson last year early on, that's a 5-star. Nick Townsend I felt was a 5-star. Me and Homer's favorite guys, and then also this cycle I said Jalen Lott, if he plays corner, I would have him as a 5-star as well. So sometimes I'm just going to throw my own 2 cents in there. Gia Bell felt like he was the number 1 quarterback months ago. We try to use the industry consensus that On3 and now Rivals has. That's what we try to go by. But at the end of the cycle, we'll talk about how each individual network had them. The difference of opinion is fun to see. Right now, 24/7 has Jermaine Bishop as a 5-star, which I think is a lot closer to what On3 Rivals has them at, like number 275 or something. That seems like a typo.
Yeah, it matters to try to get a blend of everybody else, because you said you could have whatever service could have X bias, and then so combining the 3 is generally helpful. It was even more helpful when we had 4 total, because then you could really get a feel. But back down to 3, that's been the key. But that's kind of how the 5-star thing works. When you normally hear X player is this rank, it's normally some type of consensus. Derek Cooper, man.
Maybe so, man. Texas is the team to beat on him. But again, Miami kid, Georgia is going to be frothing at the mouth right now. Texas is saving Georgia some money, man. Texas saving them some money on Atkinson and saving them some money on James Jones. So maybe they want to repurpose.
Yeah, I can see that July 20th announcement for Georgia being like, you know what? We're not going to let them have Cooper no matter what. We can do some ego recruiting here really quick. And then I think someone asked about Devon Benjamin. We talked about him a little bit on Recruiting Intel. Justin gave you guys the stuff, but we are looking at Devon Benjamin as well. So some good players in the mix. They think he's a lean to Oregon.
So Texas is right there. He from what we've heard is he's torn. He feels like, man, he'll really get developed at Texas. He really likes the culture. Understands, Texas is sending guys to the NFL one after another. Oregon's had some bad misses this cycle, and I hear that they're extremely desperate, and you know what that means. So, right now I would probably have that maybe 51% to Oregon, 49% to Texas. But I don't know, man. Something's brewing right now. The mindset at Texas seemed to switch a little bit. I've got to think about that and investigate a little bit more to see why right now they got aggressive. We knew it was going to happen at some point, but why right now? There's obviously been a lot of interesting rulings going on. The lawsuits are just starting up. So I don't know. Something's in the water right now. So I'm not ruling out Devon Benjamin, but I get the slight edge to Oregon right now.
Cool. All right, man. Well, that was a fun surprise. I've literally been editing videos all day and I have to continue to do so, but that was a nice little break. Definitely woke me up a little bit. That's for sure. Any final things, Eric? Are you good to roll out?
No, they got me a little pep in my step too. Now, so you've got to expect the unexpected. If we learned anything from today, that's it. Don't get too high, don't get too low. But just keep in mind that recruiting can change in a heartbeat. Never should have lost faith in Stark and the fellows.
For sure. Lesson learned, everybody. Lesson learned. All right, Eric. Thank you
for the 5th year in a row.
And James Johnson, you know what? Thank you too, man. Shout out Georgia. Y'all have a great day and hook 'em, y'all.